Welcome to this deep dive into betaine and homocysteine and how they might impact the heart health of serious lifters. You have probably seen betaine marketed in pre-workout formulas for a bigger pump and more power, but today we are asking a bigger question. Could its real benefit lie in supporting cardiovascular health? In this video we will cut through the hype, explore the science behind betaine's roles in methylation and homocysteine metabolism, and help you understand what the evidence really says for athletes and fitness enthusiasts. Many supplement companies promote betaine for pumps and power because it can influence cell hydration and energy metabolism. But the other side of this story is its potential effect on a compound called homocysteine, which has been linked to cardiovascular risk. On this slide we tee up the idea that a substance marketed for performance might have subtle effects on heart health. Throughout this presentation we will see whether those claims hold up and what that means for anyone who takes training seriously. Before we talk about betaine, we need to discuss homocysteine and methylation. Homocysteine is a sulfur-containing amino acid produced when your body breaks down methionine from protein. High levels of homocysteine have been associated with increased risk of heart problems, but lowering homocysteine has not consistently translated into fewer heart attacks or strokes. Methylation is a process where methyl groups are added to molecules, turning genes on or off and making compounds like creatine and carnitine. Several nutrients, including folate, vitamin B12, vitamin B6, and betaine, act as methyl donors. Lifters should know that a healthy methylation cycle supports recovery, energy production, and detoxification, and that betaine plays a part in this cycle. So what exactly is betaine? Betaine, also known as trimethylglycine, is a naturally occurring compound derived from choline. It occurs in foods such as beets, spinach, grains, and shellfish, and most diets supply somewhere between half a gram and 2 grams a day. Supplement makers often use betaine anhydrous in powder or capsule form, and also shows up in pre-workout formulas and hydration blends. The reason it is included is because of two key functions. First, it acts as an osmolyte that helps cells maintain fluid balance, and second, it serves as a methyl donor that can support critical biochemical reactions. On this slide, we see the dual roles of betaine. As an osmolyte, it helps your cells maintain volume and fluid balance when exposed to heat or changes in salt and water. This protective function may support endurance and hydration by stabilizing proteins and membranes. As a methyl donor, betaine donates a methyl group to homocysteine through the betaine-homocysteine methyltransferase enzyme, forming methionine. This reaction supports the synthesis of important molecules like creatine and carnitine, which is why betaine sometimes appears in formulas aimed at improving strength and recovery. Understanding these two roles sets the stage for what happens next in your body. Here we take a closer look at the methylation pathway. In the liver, kidney, and other tissues, an enzyme called betaine-homocysteine methyltransferase uses betaine to convert homocysteine back into methionine. This reaction produces dimethylglycine as a byproduct and is responsible for about half of all homocysteine clearance. A healthy methylation cycle ensures that homocysteine is recycled rather than building up. This is one way betaine might influence cardiovascular markers and explains why it is sometimes recommended to people concerned about methylation. Now let us focus on homocysteine levels in lifters. Homocysteine is produced from methionine and is normally recycled through methylation. Elevated levels, generally above 15 micromoles per liter, have been linked with increased risk of heart attack and stroke, although lowering homocysteine does not guarantee protection. In active people, homocysteine can fluctuate. Studies show that an intense workout can temporarily raise homocysteine by roughly 9 to 26%, but levels usually return to baseline within a day. Over the long term, resistance training appears to lower baseline homocysteine, while aerobic training shows less predictable changes. For most healthy lifters, these fluctuations are modest and not a cause for alarm. Research on betaine supplementation suggests it can modestly lower homocysteine. Meta-analyses show that taking 4 grams of betaine a day or more reduces plasma homocysteine by about 1 to 1.5 micromoles per liter. The effect is small but measurable, and the amount of reduction depends on your starting level. If your homocysteine is already normal, the change may be minimal. This slide emphasizes that betaine is not a magic bullet, but can have a real, albeit modest, impact on this biomarker when taken at higher doses. One study on strength-trained men used 2.5 grams of betaine per day for 6 weeks. The participants saw increases in lean body mass and were able to perform more total bench press work. However, their maximal strength and vertical jump power did not improve significantly. Interestingly, this study also reported a smaller increase in urinary homocysteine thiolactone, which suggests betaine had an effect on methylation during heavy training. In practical terms, Betaine may help with training volume and body composition rather than giving you dramatic gains in one rep max strength. With all this talk about homocysteine, you might wonder whether lowering it actually improves heart health. Observational studies show that lower homocysteine levels often correlate with healthier arteries, but randomized trials using vitamins that lower homocysteine have not shown reductions in heart attack or stroke rates. This means homocysteine is a biomarker of risk rather than a proven cause of disease. Betaine supplementation should therefore be viewed as one tool among many, rather than a cardiovascular insurance policy. We also need to consider potential downsides of high doses. Clinical studies have shown that taking 6 grams of Betaine a day for 6 weeks can raise low-density lipoprotein cholesterol by about a 0.36 millimoles per liter and increase blood triglycerides slightly compared with a placebo. Even doses as low as 4 grams per day have occasionally led to small increases in total cholesterol. These changes are not drastic, but they matter if you already struggle with cholesterol or are taking medications like statins. As with any supplement, more is not always better. To put the evidence into perspective, let us categorize what we know. The mechanism by which betaine acts as a methyl donor through the betaine-homocysteine methyltransferase pathway is well understood. Studies consistently show that 4 grams per day or more can lower homocysteine by around 1 to 1.5 micromoles per liter, so this effect is supported. There is no convincing evidence that these reductions translate into fewer heart attacks or strokes, so cardiovascular benefits remain speculative. When it comes to performance, research is mixed. Some studies report modest increases in work capacity and lean mass, while others find no significant difference in strength or power. Understanding these tiers helps you make informed decisions. Let us talk about how to use betaine in practice. For sports performance, typical supplement doses range from 2 to 2.5 grams per day, often split into 2 servings. Taking betaine consistently for 4 to 6 weeks gives you enough time to assess any changes in work capacity or body composition. To target homocysteine reduction, higher doses of 4 to 6 grams per day are used in research, but these should be done under medical supervision because of the lipid trade-offs we discussed. Remember that betaine is just one piece of the puzzle. A diet rich in folate, vitamin B6, and vitamin B12, adequate protein, regular resistance training, cardiovascular conditioning, good sleep and stress management all support healthy methylation and heart health. If you have elevated homocysteine or cardiovascular risk, talk with a qualified healthcare professional before adding a high-dose supplement. Who should consider betaine and who should be cautious? Lifters with mildly elevated homocysteine who already have their training and nutrition dialed in might consider a trial of betaine to see if it nudges their biomarker in the right direction. Athletes who are already taking creatine and want to support methylation could also experiment with a sports dose. On the other hand, if your low-density lipoprotein or total cholesterol is high, or if you are taking statins or other cholesterol-lowering drugs, you should be cautious. People with existing cardiovascular disease or significant risk factors should consult a doctor before supplementing. Megadosing betaine in hopes of protecting your heart is not advisable and can backfire. It is important to adopt a balanced approach and avoid common myths. Claiming that betaine prevents heart disease is misleading. Lowering homocysteine does not guarantee fewer cardiovascular events. More betaine is not necessarily better because high doses can increase lipids and moderation matters. Lifters do not need betaine for heart health if they are already focusing on training, nutrition, and B vitamin status because these factors have a much bigger impact. Finally, betaine does not boost strength and power like creatine does. The performance effects are modest at best. Seeing betaine as a complementary tool rather than a miracle supplement keeps expectations realistic. Here's the bottom line. Betaine plays a real role in methylation and can modestly lower homocysteine when taken at doses of 4 grams per day or more. However, there is no direct evidence that it prevents heart attacks or strokes, and high doses may raise low-density lipoprotein cholesterol and total cholesterol. For lifters, a sports dose of 2 to 2.5 grams per day might support methylation without significant risk, but it is not a cardiovascular insurance policy. Betaine can be part of a well-rounded plan, but it should not distract from the fundamentals of training, nutrition, and recovery. Let us end with a few key takeaways. Betaine is a dietary methyl donor found in foods like beets, spinach, grains, and shellfish. Through the betaine-homocysteine methyltransferase pathway, it converts homocysteine back into methionine. Intense workouts temporarily raise homocysteine, and resistance training can actually lower baseline levels over time. Supplementing with 4 grams of betaine per day or more can reduce homocysteine by around 1 to 1.5 micromoles per liter, while the sports dose of 2 to 2.5 grams is commonly used to support performance. Remember that lower homocysteine does not automatically mean fewer heart attacks, and taking large doses can raise cholesterol. Focus on balanced nutrition, adequate B vitamins, regular training, recovery, and stress management. Betaine is an optional supplement for those who want to experiment, not a cure-all. Always consider your personal health profile and consult a professional before making significant changes.